I had such a great conversation with my very good friend Ilya Grad. So look, Ilya is a three-time world champion in Thai boxing. He lived in Thailand for 11 years, training and fighting there, actually fighting internationally with more than 50 fights. And one thing about Ilya that most people don't know about is that he's like the calmest person ever, you know? So I've known him for a few years now. We traveled probably to like 10 different countries together. And there have been situations during those trips where things went down, right? Situation was dodgy. And as everyone else is freaking out, Ilya is this only person sitting there, relaxed, with a smile on his face, just breathing deeply and enjoying the present moment. And it's one of those things that I feel like it's such an important ability in today's world, to control one's emotions, to be able to see positive in different situations. When something bad happens to you, you know how to take it and transform it into something that's going to serve you. And he is the type of individual that has this ability. The interesting thing about Ilya is that when he was growing up in Jerusalem, he was a very troubled kid. He used to engage in street fights. He was up to no good. And at some point he discovered Thai boxing, and that allowed him to release some of that inner aggression. Then over the years of personal development, he became, you know, a really, really successful individual in different realms of life. So in this interview, we talked about a variety of things. Of course, we talked about mental toughness. We talked about your relationship with fear, because this is really important. When you're a fighter, you have to know how to manage your fears. But then also this can help regular people in normal life to handle their fears. So we talked about that. We discussed cultivating the positive mindset. So when a situation like COVID-19 happens, how will you react to it? Will you react in a positive way? Will you find an opportunity, or will you just get crushed by life? And we talked about topics such as training, pushing yourself to the next level. We talked about not eating meat. And many of you may be surprised, but Ilya hasn't been eating meat for a few years, even though he is a pro fighter. So lots of interesting topics that we covered. I'm sure that you'll enjoy this interview. So tune in, have a blast, and let's get started. Yo, Ilya, great to have you here. And the show's been great to talk to you. Please don't spoil the results of the UFC from last night, because I haven't seen it yet.
Dude, I apologize if I'm still a bit off, but I didn't sleep much because I was so excited that sports events are coming back, and especially fighting, that I stayed up all night watching it. So I stay in Israel, and the main card, it starts at 5 a.m. here. Mm-hmm. So I literally went to sleep at like 9 and
oh, wow, so you've seen the UFC?
Yeah, I watched it live.
Oh, man, damn. After this interview, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to watch it, and then we're going to do another call. We can discuss everything
then
that
I won't spoil it for you.
Sorry?
Then I won't spoil it for you.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. Yeah. Some people, some of my friends, they always making fun of me. And whenever I don't see the fights, they just send me the results. I hate that, man.
Bad manners.
Yeah, you as a fighter, of course, you know how important it is to see the fight by yourself. But hey, man, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I mean, for those of you watching this, this interview is a little bit different to what I normally do. And the simple reason is that we are really good friends with Ilya. So we really know each other. We are like brothers from another mother. We traveled to how many places, man? Probably like 10 different countries together or so.
Yeah. So if people don't know, traveling with Jimmy is intense, because every few days you end up in a different place that you didn't plan in the beginning. It's not like you're planning your vacation, 2-3 weeks, I'm going to be here and there. It's just everything is on the move. Everything is spontaneous. And buying an airplane ticket is the easiest thing to do.
Remember the trip we did maybe 2 years ago in June, when we went to Budapest, and then out of nowhere we drove to Belgrade, and then you wanted to go to Bulgaria, so we decided, okay, Ilya wants to go to Bulgaria, let's go there, to Sozopol. And then I don't remember what happened. I think it was crazy.
Blackout. Yeah.
So hey, for people watching here, I already did like separate intros, so people know who you are. They know everything you've done. They know the fact that you held 3 world titles in Thai boxing. But many people, when they see you, right, they often assume that because you're a confident guy, you know how to handle yourself. And, I know you very well. So I know that even when shit goes down, when the situation can be dangerous, sketchy, you keep composure, you keep calm, right? Somebody wants to pick up on you, even though you're a fighter, you always refuse that temptation to fight back. You're very relaxed. So people often assume that you are always like this. They see you, 192, I think, centimeters tall, right? And so you can be an imposing character, but I know that it wasn't always like this. So can you bring us back to the time when you were just a teenager growing up in Israel? How were you then when you were like 14, 15 years old?
Yeah, as a kid, I had no confidence, and it came up from firstly, I'm immigrating. My family, they immigrated from Russia to Israel, so it kind of took some time until you get to learn the language and get along with everybody. And then growing up, I just couldn't find my own place. I couldn't find my niche, my spot. I didn't have a purpose. I hated school. And I got involved in a lot of troubles in my teenage days, a lot of drinking and fighting. And sports literally changed my life. It changed my character. It helped me grow as a person and helped me, help me handle my insecurities better.
So do you think, so you said handle insecurities better. Do you think the reason you were fighting on the streets and doing all the crazy stuff was some type of insecurity? Like what
Absolutely. Well, just to prove myself that I'm somebody. If you can beat somebody else, you kind of feel like you're a man. Like if you're not good at anything else in life and there's nothing else going on for you, and you go out and you manage to get in a fight, it gives you something negative, I would say, but fortunately for me, I took it to a good place through sports.
So bro, yeah. I'm curious to hear, I don't think I ever asked you this question, but I'm actually really curious to hear. So if you didn't discover Thai boxing, like what do you think, where would you end up?
Who knows? I would like to believe that I would find something positive eventually, and it was just those rebel days that I had to go through to calm down in a way. But yeah, as you said about ego, fighting, it really tames your ego. You don't have to feel like you need to prove yourself anymore, because the only test you get is inside the ring, in competition. So outside, I'm very chill. So sport, it taught me how to chill, and also through the fight, you have to stay composed. When you get emotions, get the best or the worst of you, then you're not fighting well. So I took it to my personal life. Like I'm chill in any situation, even if this Corona crisis, with this gym being closed for 2 months, we're gonna make it somehow. We're gonna get through. Yeah, I'm not stressed about it.
It's really interesting, man, because I mean, all the years I've known you and traveling to all those places together, I noticed that when everyone is losing their shit, you're always very chilled. You have this stoic approach. And I'm a big fan of stoicism. They always say that things are not good or bad, they just are. And it seems like you are this type of person. And many people talk about stoicism, but very few people walk the talk, right? And I think you're the type of guy that you walk your talk. And it's interesting because as you're talking about fighting and the fact that you have to keep the composure, when most people think about fighting, if they haven't trained, if they haven't fought before, they often assume that you have to come out aggressive and you just have to go for it, right? But it's not really like that. Can you talk a little bit about it?
I mean, you have different type of fighters. You have different strategies. Maybe for some fighter, that's his best chance to win. Just go for it. Just push the tempo forward and pressure down the opponent. But if you look at the best fighters of all time, and I'm talking about all different kind of sports, they're all very intelligent fighters. They are very smart fighters. They understood the game. They understood that you don't need to take a lot of damage necessarily to win the fight. And you can just outclass and outsmart your opponent. So that's the way I'm teaching my students too. Just play the game in a smart way to win.
And do you remember, so when you were growing up in Israel, do you remember the moment when you started training? How was it? Was it that you discovered it or somebody discovered you? Like, how did it even start, the fact that you were training?
Yeah, well, I started hanging out on the streets when I was about 14 years old, and that involved a lot of drinking and just getting into fights. So by the time I was 16, I quite had a little bit of a record of fighting. No, just some experience. So I knew the basic. I was watching some fights on TV. So when I would turn 16 on my birthday, I decided to join a gym and just try to fight for fame and for money instead of all the bad things that can happen.
We just joke, right, that when somebody wants to pick up a fight with you, we always joke I remember with Cedric and Hua Hin and Thailand, we are kidding that you tell people, look, man, I don't want any trouble with you. Plus, I only fight when I get paid. Right?
Yeah, you're right. After you're doing it for 10 plus years, and there's some situation that might lead to some fist fight or something like that. You think like I'm not gonna fight this guy. Like it's stupid. I fight I get paid well to fight. I'm not gonna do it for this guy. It's not worth it. So that thought went through my head a few times actually when somebody maybe deserved their ass whooping, but I felt like I'm not gonna give him that. It doesn't deserve it.
Yeah. Cool, man. So before we even jump into like the mental aspect, that everybody can learn something for their own lives, I'm very curious to ask you: do you remember your first professional fight, not the street fight, professional fight?
Yeah. So,
and how did it feel?
Well, let me tell you about my amateur fight, because like when I first came to the gym, I said to my coach immediately, like, I want to compete. Like that's what I signed up for. So already after 2 months, he sent me for my first interclub, they call it. So it's just different gyms. They bring their beginner fighters and they just fight each other. So my first fight I actually won in 12 seconds. I had no idea how that happened. Wow. We both beginners. I didn't even know how to block punches. We just came straight punching, and I connected, and the guy fell down. And it was kind of like a sign, like an omen for me that this is the thing for me. Kind of gave me the drive to go forward with this idea of becoming a fighter.
That's interesting. How do you remember the emotions you felt when that happened? Were you afraid before going into that fight?
No, not at all. You get afraid, not afraid, but you get to think about it later as a beginner. Like you have no idea what's going on. You just go for it. Like you don't even know what to expect. Once you get pro, like you have to start dealing with all the emotions and all the thoughts of like strategizing and, thinking about like, did I have a good camp or how am I feeling physically and mentally? But as a beginner, you have no idea. You just go there and you just try to do whatever you did in training.
That's interesting. So I'm going to make an assumption now. I'm curious what you think about it. So as a public speaker, I noticed that back in the day, like if you want to present on a stage, and but you don't you're sitting in the audience, right? And you don't expect that you will get on a stage and somebody randomly picks you up, maybe as a volunteer. You didn't have the time to plan anything. You just take the mic, you say whatever you have to say, and you sit down. But then later on, as you keep going, as you actually have your own performances happening, your own speeches, seminars, etc. You have to do it. There's maybe 1,000 people in the audience. They are the butterflies. You are better than ever because you keep improving. Still, you feel the butterflies because you know what's at stake and you know that you have full control. So if something goes wrong, it's your fault because you could have prepped for it. Is it the same with fighting? So the more you go into it, the higher you go, the more fear you experience?
I wouldn't say fear. Maybe you feel nerves. You always feel nerves, which is good. It keeps you sharp. It depends from my own experience. So I started fighting without much experience. So in my first few years, I was still on a beginner's level, and it was hard to manage emotions and the nerves. So a lot of times those nerves, they took me to a bad place. In my fighting, in my technique, like I wasn't sharp. I was too aggressive. I forgot about the fundamentals. But as you progress as a professional, you learn how to channel those nerves and become more sharp and be more in the moment during the fight.
How do you do that?
Oh, just experience. Just experience. Yeah.
Are there any techniques that you use? So you go into a fight, right? You enter into the ring and you feel your heart racing and you know something's about to happen. How do you manage that? Because I'm trying to because many people watching this, they are not fighters, but people experience fear in so many different situations in life, right? Even simple, you want to talk to somebody you don't know and you feel this overwhelming fear. I think people can learn a lot from you about managing emotions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. First thing is visualization, which is true to every sort of competition or something that you're preparing for. That's proven to be very, very efficient. And the second thing, and this is again from my own experience, is just don't think about it. Don't think about the result. Don't think about the stakes. Just go to every event like you go to training. Like you're gonna enjoy it. Like try to have fun. You know, fight, but fight as a game. Take everything as a game. So you go in the ring. I'm just gonna play with him. I'm just gonna touch him. You know, you don't think about, oh, I'm gonna fight him. I'm gonna hurt him. He's gonna hurt me. You don't think about it. You're just gonna play. You know, just go enjoy it. So I'm sure that it might be true even to you. And just go to the stage and have fun with it. You know, don't think about everything around it. It will distract you.
I agree, actually. I agree with you. But the problem happens when, because it's easy to say, right? Don't think about it. It's going to be fine. And then when you are there, right? I mean, even training as an amateur, you know, I had some sparring sessions in my life and even regular sparring. You feel the butterflies, like, damn, I may get hit right on the chin, right? Like you never know. So what happens is there's this internal dialogue that sometimes kicks in, even though you don't want it to kick in. So the question for you, what do you do then? If you say you enter the ring and or you're about to get out there and you start feeling the fear building up and you know that you should treat it as a game.
The nerves, not the fear.
Okay, the nerves. Okay, so the nerves.
If you have fear, then go home. You're in the wrong place. You're not gonna do well. You have nerves, and you have to know how to channel them. If you have fear of the other fighter, of the competition, of the level, that a lot of fighters do, and I had too in some of my fights that I wasn't mentally there. You're not gonna fight well. You know. But I would say that practice makes perfect. As the more you practice, the more confident you feel. The harder you work, the more you drill the techniques, then you're gonna perform better. You know, like nothing goes out for free.
So in a way, you can use this initial fear to drive your discipline, right? To practice the perseverance. So if you don't feel like training today, you focus on the fear of, damn, if I don't train, I'm gonna get smashed, right? So then you train more, and then you turn that fear into manageable nerves. And you mentioned visualization. I want to talk about it a little bit. And the reason I want to talk about it is because, look, when I talk to all types of individuals, they often say visualization is bullshit, you know, whatever, woo-woo, etc. But hearing it from a guy who won 3 world championships means something. And it's interesting that when you look at some of the best fighters, actually some of the best performers in every field, they often talk about visualization. So tell me more about it. Tell me about how you do it. How much time do you spend? What do you focus on?
Oh, it's an extremely powerful tool to conquer your mind and your subconscious. Whoever thinks it's bullshit, he's just being silly. He doesn't know what is missing, put it that way. Just preparing your mind, mostly your subconscious. So you plan on the things to come. So you be ready to the outcome you want to happen in the end. Like the mental game is so powerful, especially in fighting. It's at least 50%. You can train 100% with the best fighters in the world, but if you're not here, 100% to it will affect your game.
Interesting, really interesting. So when you visualize, do you do it every day? Is there any special?
When I used to fight, then in the evening before I go to sleep, just relax, and also after training, just put my legs on the wall when you're tired and just visualize some of the techniques, just coming out to the fight and being calm and finishing, thinking about the outcome. So sometimes you go back from the winning. So you start imagining as you as being victorious already in your subconscious. You're thinking, you're putting the message that I'm going to win the fight. And then you start going back to how am I going to do it, right? So this technique, that technique, and you go back all the way to pre-fight, locker room, and then just even the days before, just relax and feel good and enjoy and everything in a positive way. No stress.
Reminds me of Conor McGregor back in the day, that famous video when he was still a kid saying, I'm going to be in the UFC, like, guarantee you that. And seeing him with some pimples, you know, like, he was really young. He was probably, 18 or 20. And he made it happen, right? So it's quite interesting to hear this. Actually, so I want to ask you about something, because yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I sent you this message. Last year, we lived in Thailand together in Hua Hin. And I remember at some point I asked you, hey, what is your bucket list? And you wrote it down. And I found it and I sent it back to you. And dude, it turns out that pretty much all of those things are done, apart from the Burning Man that unfortunately because of Corona we can't go to this year. But it's incredible. It's just incredible, right? I looked back at it and I sometimes like to see old messages just for that. And I had the same situation with my adventure masterminds, where I found some old audio from like a few years ago, where I was by myself in the Himalayas and I sent message to my parents telling them how one day I'll take people on crazy adventures. And I forgot about it. And, you know, I've been doing those with Alex. It's pretty crazy. So I'm wondering to what extent you use visualization and goal setting in your regular life, not just, you know, you as a fighter or you now as a gym owner, but like any other areas of your life.
Well, I do it more when I talk to you. Because you that's your game, right? So sometimes I forget my game is sports. So a lot of times when I hang out with you actually push me to do those kind of mental exercises, which, like you said, is so powerful because it just puts those messages out in your subconscious that you wake up in the morning and like you have to be there. You know, you have to get there, and then you start like working your way to that goal. And if you don't have that image in your head that you're going to have one day, you're going to have this, you're going to have that job or whatever you dream of, you'll never get there because you're not going to be working towards that goal. You're going to be wasting your time doing other things or being part of other people's plan instead of your own.
Exactly, man. And it's interesting to see you now there on this video in your own gym, which is so cool because, I mean, we were in Thailand literally like a year ago. And we were talking about it, and you kept saying, I'm going to have a gym. Like, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to look like, but like, it's going to have a gym. And you mentioned either Israel or you wanted to do it somewhere in the US, right? But like, you kept talking about it and you kept visualizing it. And we're kind of fantasizing how cool it's going to be to do the seminars and bring other fighters on board. And it's so awesome to see you in there. So congrats on that, man.
Thank you.
That's fucking awesome, man.
2 months. We were open for 2 months before the Corona crisis started. And actually today, in about 2 hours, is the first session coming back from the lockdown after 2 months. So today is actually a great day. They're bringing back sports. They're bringing back my gym. And we're having this conversation. So it should be very elated today.
Yes. Happy Sunday, man.
Yeah, it's great.
But hey, let's talk a little bit about confidence, because I feel like many people watching this video, you know, many of them are my students from Udemy. They want to learn about building confidence, overcoming anxiety, right? Managing their fears. I would say dance with the fear. So I'm curious to hear from you. What being a real man means to you?
What a question. Let me say this. If you want to become tougher mentally, or you want better confidence, then you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because this is the only place that you actually grow. So if you have confidence issues, you have to go out there. You have to take risks. You have to do things you're uncomfortable with. You have to make mistakes. You have to fail, because it's not a big deal. And you only learn it after you fail. If you fear of failing all the time, you don't do anything. And once you fail, and if you take it too seriously, then it might break you down. But if it doesn't, you know what they say, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. So you become a better man, in my opinion.
I ask you this because I feel like many people have this misconception that being a real man is being always tough and never showing any emotions, right? Always having everything handled. And we talked about it many times, and I know that you also really believe in the fact that ego can be your biggest enemy. And you're a very good example of this journey of transformation where you went from this little kid fighting on the streets trying to get approval and validation of other people to becoming a world champ, and basically just being this, modern life stoic. They close your gym because of Corona. Okay, I cannot control it. Let me focus on the positive, right? So that's why I ask you this question, because I'm curious what you think about this concept of being a real man. And I know that women are also watching this, but I think they'll find this interesting because, even if you're a woman watching this, you may have a boyfriend, you may have a husband, you may have a son, you have male friends in your life. And I think there is this toxic masculinity going around quite a lot where young guys hit the gym right away. They just want to get big. They just want to get tough. They don't want to show any emotions.
Ego. It's so
they want to pick up fights in bars and clubs. And this is not the way to go. And you're a very good example to make them realize that. So I'm curious on your thoughts on that.
It's all ego. Everything you just said, it's ego. And I've been there. I know you've been there to some extent too. And the toxic masculinity, you don't want to show your weakness. You want to show you're strong all the time. You don't want to see other people. You don't want other people to see you fail. And it's not true, because failing is fine. Failing builds you up. I tell people my mistakes all the time. I tell them I was a troublemaker. I tell them all the times that, I made mistakes in my life, and I made a lot. I made a lot of mistakes, and I still do. And every time I make a mistake, I grow from this, If you think that it's what's gonna break you, then you think about the whole thing wrong. I will give you an example from fighting. Every time I lost a fight, I learned so much more, and I came back so much better. And even before, you talk about fear from losing. Once you lose, you understand how much you hate it. So next time you have the fear coming to a fight that you're gonna lose again. So you train so much harder because you experienced it by yourself. So I think showing weakness is actually a strength. And people who can open up and own the mistakes and say that the things I did before those mistakes, they don't define me, but they help me become a better person. Those are people with strength.
I 100% agree with you. I feel like real confidence is about being comfortable with yourself, but with your full self from all the angles, not just one angle, right? And people often think, oh, if I'm confident, then I just have to project it all the time. But if you're truly confident, then you are comfortable with the discomfort of not being perfect. So if I talk to somebody, maybe a high-level CEO, if I filter myself all the time because I want to be accepted and I want to get approval and validation, well, actually, paradoxically, they won't give me that acceptance. On the other hand, if I respect them, but I'm just myself and I talk the way I would talk to anybody else, that's when the real respect, appreciation comes from. And this is what truly confident people do. But it's interesting because when I met you, you were already this type of person. And that's why it's so fascinating to kind of delve into it and realize that you are not always like this. So speaking of ego and controlling your emotions and having this real confidence, can you tell me about some situations where someone tried to pick up on you, where it would be justified to let just the anger go out there and do something, but you managed to control yourself. You managed to be the bigger guy by not succumbing to that feeling of I have to retaliate, I have to go out there and be angry. Can you I know you have a bunch of stories, so it would be cool if you can share something.
It's interesting because back in the day, I was really into reading a lot of Osho books. And Osho his philosophy really is really great. And a lot of things that he said is that by letting somebody else having the power over your emotions is actually your weakness. So, for example, if somebody else does something and he managed to get you mad and lose your temper and lose your cool, then you lost. You actually showed your weakness. So I don't know about stories. Nothing comes to mind at the moment, but
too dodgy to share.
No. Nothing comes to mind. Yeah, the point is that I always take it with me that you're the only one who's in charge of your emotions, nobody else. So if you want to be a strong person, don't let anybody have that power over you.
Awesome, man. And so to switch gears a little bit, I'm wondering, what do you think is the importance of physical training, whether it's training martial arts or maybe doing Ironmans like some of our friends, Michael, Sandra, right, Vinny, and or just going to the gym, right? Like, what is the importance of that physical training in building yourself up based on your experience?
If you talk about confidence and you talk about mental toughness, it goes together hand in hand. I even go to say that you cannot go without it, because the effect is so strong when you have to push yourself. I said before, push yourself beyond your comfort zone. In sports, you do it all the time. Doesn't matter what you do. If yesterday you swam for 30 minutes, today swim for 40 minutes. It will be harder. Everything you do in sports based on progression, especially being competitive. It doesn't matter if you're professional or amateur, or even go to the gym. Push yourself a bit harder, do another rep, put a little bit more weight, that way your mental toughness. So it is so important. It is so important. And anybody who doesn't train or doesn't have the time, it's something that is so important in life, and I cannot stress it enough. And it doesn't matter if you do boxing or you're running or you're lifting weights, but you have to find something that you enjoy doing, because that's the only way you're going to keep up with it. So a lot of people don't exercise because they say, I don't like to go to the gym. Well, there's 20, 30, 50 other things you can do instead. Just find something you like and stick to it.
So do you feel like anybody who is not training now, if they started training physically, that would impact their mental strength, right?
Of course, and confidence, and you just feel better. You will just feel better. It's literally medicine for your mind. I had some days I had a shit day, a long day, things don't go my way, then I go to the gym, I just break a sweat, I feel amazing, I feel like a new person.
Yeah, but so some people watching this may be thinking, okay, both of those guys are crazy about training, they must enjoy it all the time, right? Many people I know certainly when people see me doing my burpees and handstands and things like that, they're like, you're crazy, man, you love this stuff. But here's the thing, and I know this
you're crazy though.
Well, you too, man. You too. That's
what? I'll tell a little story about you, because when we travel, and it could be like very intense, like on your schedule. Like Jimmy will find a time to train every single day. It doesn't matter where it is. We just landed in Hungary. It's 9 p.m. We'll find a gym open somewhere, and he'll pop there and they go train. Like it doesn't matter where you are. Like you have to do it, and it's something you put in your head that I have to do it. Like it doesn't matter the circumstances. You don't give yourself a break.
Yeah, that's true.
That's something that I respect. Yeah, I don't have that, because for me, like, training was work. When you train for 5 hours a day, like you don't really necessarily see it as fun anymore. Like you have to put those hours in. But yeah, you just do it.
But that's the thing. So I wanted to ask you about that, because you said it's work, and here's the thing, right? So that's the thing, when people say, oh, but you enjoy it. The fact is, I have days when I actually don't enjoy it, when I can't be bothered to do anything. but it's just a choice that when you feel lazy and you don't feel like training, and you know the feeling. All right, so we had little technical issues. Zoom just suddenly turned off, but we are back. So look, what I want to say is, like, often when people see me doing my workouts, they assume that I enjoy it every single day, but I don't. I have those moments when I don't feel like doing anything. I just feel lazy. But it's that moment when I decide that I'm just gonna, rather than thinking about it, I push myself to start doing something. And so it's not that I enjoy it. Sometimes I hate this feeling, especially when I'm doing one of those pull-up challenges. You know, when you do pull-ups, you feel it in your entire body. You feel your lungs are burning if you do lots of them. And then you run and like, oh, you feel like dying. Or like Thai boxing training. Literally Thai boxing, every time when we were training together in Hua Hin, every time I was about to train, I felt awesome. Then the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, why am I doing this shit? Why am I doing this shit? Then you get into it, then you're loving it. And then towards the end, when you think it should be long over, they tell you, okay, now you're doing this, now you're doing that. You're like, when will this end? So then you're hating it. And then you say to yourself, I'm not going to do it again. And then guess what happens half an hour after the workout? You know, all the pheromones are being released, all the, you know, endorphins, and you feel like, wow, I feel awesome. I want to do it again. So talk to me about that, because people look at you and they often think, yeah, this guy is an animal. Ilya is an animal. He just loves to train. But I think the reason you are successful is not the fact that you love training, it's the mental strength and the habits you developed over the years. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about the habit of getting comfortable.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what you said, that the harder it is, and the more you're reluctant to do it, but eventually you go through and you finish it, the more rewarding and the better you feel in the end. It's I felt it so many times when you don't want to do anything, but you push yourself, and you feel much better. When it comes to training, just like Thailand is insane. They train so much, and every morning you have to run 10 kilometers, like five times a week. And like, it's stupid. It's hard. You have to wake up super early. It's hard. It took me a while to get into it. Like in my first year, like I wouldn't do the 10K. I'll wake up a bit later. I'll join some people later. I'll do like 2K, 4K. And it's that mindset that you have to build yourself towards too. But after some time, you don't think about it anymore. You wake up, you sore, everything hurts, you want to sleep, you don't want to go to train. Like everything in your body tells you like, stay in bed, like don't do it. But like you said, you don't really think about it. You just do it because it's something that you have to do. And you wake up and you put your shoes and you had a small coffee and you go and you run the fucking 10K. And the same thing happens to it the next day. Like you don't wake up motivated to run 10K. Like it doesn't happen. Like it happened maybe once a week, you know, that you wake up and you're like, okay, let's do this. You wake up and you do it. You don't even think about it, and you don't pay any attention to your emotions yet at all, because it's something you have to do. And the better you train, the better you fight. Like it's that simple. So you get to understand that the amount of energy you put into something, it gives you better results. It's that simple. And then once you understand it, you actually feel motivated to train harder, to push yourself a bit more. Just like that.
And I'm curious to hear, because of course, once you develop the habit, then it's fairly simple because you just go on autopilot. Also, you know, people are waiting for you. So that's accountability. But I'm curious to hear about those situations. For example,
not always.
Sorry?
Not always people waiting on you. A lot of times it's just you. Accountability is great. It's a great hack. You know, make plans to train with somebody, with a friend, do sports together.
Yeah.
And you have no excuse. You have to do it 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember those times in Bangkok a few years ago. And so our lifestyle was a little bit weird, right? So with the boys, shout out to, of course, Vinny, Sandro, Ben, Michael. So we would go clubbing till, I don't know, 2 a.m., sometimes longer. And then, but then we would train the next day. And some of those guys, they would jump on a bike and bang out 100 kilometers. Sandro would go for a marathon for fun because he's crazy. And like, you know, Ben would hit the gym. And it's, but when that happens, then the habit, some of it is the habit, but because you're not doing it necessarily every day and you have this crazy lifestyle of, you party and you travel, then what happens in your brain? Is there internal dialogue? Is there something you say to yourself to make yourself do those things? Like you wake up
not really. I wake up cursing. Fuck my life, what is going on? But then you do what you have to do. Like that mental dialogue, it doesn't work for me. I don't go and start motivating myself. Like, I know you do it. Like, you wake up and you're like, okay, we have to do it. Let's go. Okay, and you start pumping yourself up. For me, it's not like, even I don't like it, I still have to do it.
Dude, so how do you build that discipline? Because that's discipline. How do you cultivate that discipline? For like regular people watching, like, how do you do that?
Well, that's, on that level of competition, you have to. Like, if you're not gonna do it, you can't stay. You're gonna get your ass whooped. Like that fear of losing fights or not performing. It's only you on stage. You can get beat up. Everybody see you. That motivates, man. That really motivates you. It's hard to say about people who don't compete. Like how to motivate yourself to that extent. Like this is my job. I would say that if you do something, do it well. If you do something, then give it everything you have. Why do something? Have speed, have power. If you're not willing to commit and sacrifice, go do something else.
So I'm interested in something. I may be wrong. I'm gonna make an assumption because that's what it seems to me that it's important to have that vision, because in your case, that you are fighting because you want to win. You don't want to lose. You don't want to get your ass beat. But the reason you want to win is because you want to go higher and higher and higher, and you want to win more and more trophies, and you want to make a name for yourself and go down in history books as one of the best in the world, right? That's what you want. So it seems like that vision of that and combination of that plus the fear of not fulfilling your dreams is driving you every day, right? So you wake up and it's almost like maybe subconsciously, well, if this is what I want, I better get going. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Of course, 100%. Everything you said, all the things are true. The combination of them, that's what keeps you going. Yeah, you have to know where you're going in life. For me, it was easy. As soon as I did my first fight and won that the first knockout, I knew already where I'm going. So after fighting I was doing it for 16 years, after doing it that long on a high level, I knew that, I'm going to be a coach. I knew it a long time ago. I knew it maybe 8 years ago that I'm going to end up with the gym. And, as I get older, I'm going to have younger guys coming up and start competing too. And not only people who compete, for everybody really, just like sharing everything I can with this sport to other people. So for me, the goal was always simple. I'm kind of lucky in that sense because I know a lot of people, they're in the 30s and they're not sure what they're going to do in life. They're not sure what their purpose is. So being able to find my purpose in such a young age gave me also a sense of serenity in life because I knew where I was going. Even though I took a million detours and I wouldn't say that everything went smoothly, it went horribly wrong so many times. But as soon as I can get myself back on track and keep going there, everything was fine again. As soon as I start doing other stuff and I even say like wasting my time on other stuff, I would go back and also mentally I wouldn't feel fulfilled. I wouldn't feel happy, but every time I have a big fight coming up, I know I'm going the right way. I feel amazing, even though it involves a lot of hard work, because without that, you will never get there.
Awesome, man. I love it. So what about those people who are watching this and they are thinking now, that's cool. It's cool to see how driven this guy is, but I've got no fucking idea what I want. Like I'm kind of live my life day to day and I wake up and now in this COVID-19 crisis on a lockdown, like I'm really confused about life. Like, I don't know what I want. Yeah. Any advice for those people who are kind of lost, who don't know where they want to go in life?
Well, first thing about the COVID, like nothing lasts forever. It's just a thing that's happening right now. So even if it affects you financially, mentally, whatever, it's not going to last. Nothing lasts forever. Like not the good times, not the bad times. So just hang in there. Don't let it affect you. When you talk about finding your purpose, it's such a powerful subject. I can only talk from my own experience, but I would actually want to hear what you have to say about that, because I know you're dealing with this stuff. This is the very core, important mental game, having a purpose. So I actually want to hear your take on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, man. I honestly believe if you don't have a purpose, like first of all, it's kind of like, I think Jim Rohn said it first. It's like being a yacht without a sail. Winds can be really strong. It doesn't really matter. You can't do anything with them because you don't know where you're heading. So you got to figure out where you want to be. And what I notice from people who take my courses, especially, they often tell me, look, but I don't really know. And I have this low self-esteem. I don't believe things are possible for me. So they get very confused. And I always tell people, look, as you're defining your purpose, you have to forget about limitations, because there's no way you will be able to predict what you are capable of in the future based on what you have now. If someone told you many years ago that one day, hey, you're going to have a beautiful girlfriend, you're going to have a gym, you're going to do this, that, travel all over the world, all of those things, probably it would be hard for you to believe, right? When you're a teenager, like, what, me? Like, how come? And same goes for me, right? Back in the day, if somebody told me I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I'd be like, there's no way. I'm a kid from Poland. Are you kidding me? So if I try to build my vision with that level of thinking, it wouldn't be possible. So whoever's watching this, you got to realize, first of all, that you already accomplished things that seemed impossible one day. I think this is the first step, right? But as you look back, you realize, wait a second, I have things that felt impossible. Maybe you're sitting next to your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse.
Yeah.
And as you look at them, you still remember that first meeting when you felt like they'll never say yes to you. Or maybe you have this business and when you were building it, you lost a bunch of money, right? So you got to realize
that. Good point.
First.
A lot of people don't give themselves enough credit for what they already achieved, right?
100%. Exactly, man. Exactly. So when you do that, I think once a person does it, you realize, wow, I'm actually capable of more than I thought. That's when you start defining plan for the future without thinking about limitations. So you got to ask yourself, where do I want to be in the future with no limitations? Like, you know, those days when we were kind of fantasizing about the future plans, like, yeah, having a gym, doing this, climbing those mountains, like making all those plans, you plant the seeds. And then as you go through life, you start creating the action plan. And you realize when you build an action plan, it's not that difficult. So let me rephrase it. It's not easy, but it's quite simple. It can be simple. Like building a gym in your case, in the past may have seemed really difficult, but then when you break it down, you realize, okay, well, there are steps. It's like with a recipe. You want to make some awesome curry, veggie curry, by the way, which we're going to talk about in a second as well. Then you just follow the step-by-step process. You make it happen. So that's what I believe in.
Fair.
So actually speaking, I wanted to ask you about this. And since I mentioned veggie curry, let's just jump right into it, switching gears. So what's interesting about you is that you've done all of those crazy things. You won those titles, but you also don't eat meat. I'm not sure about your situation now. Maybe you eat a little bit here and there. Like, what is your situation? Are you vegetarian, pescatarian?
Yeah, mostly pescatarian.
Mm-hmm.
I've been that way 3 years. It works for me better.
Mm-hmm.
My personal experience. I was living in the US. I was working there for almost 2 years, and I was just feeling tired all the time. Even before, when I was training, like I was very, very tired. Like I wake up in the morning, I train, I go back to sleep. I wake up, I go to the gym, and then in the evening, I wouldn't even want to have dinner with anybody because I don't have energy to talk. I just want to lay down. And when I was working in the US, again, we were training in the morning, in the afternoon. Gracie Baja West Chase, great gym, and then I just didn't have the energy to like enjoy my life there because like just working and it was killing me. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I went back to Thailand. I wanted to compete again, and well, I just felt that maybe I should give it a try. Maybe one month without meat, see how it affects me. And I won't lie, it was hard to adjust because you have to change your diet completely. It's like, okay, what am I going to eat now for lunch, you know? Yeah. Especially in Thailand, all the dishes have meat, so you have to do some research, you have to figure out. But I felt great. I just felt so much lighter. Like I didn't have to nap in the afternoon anymore. You know, I didn't have to sleep for 8 hours at night anymore. Like 6, 7 was fine. And then after that, I didn't fight for about 2.5 years when I was working in the US and Vietnam as well. Then I took my first fight, and it was actually an 8-man tournament, which is hard because you have to win 3 fights in a night to win the entire thing. And in my life, I fought in few 8-man tournaments, and I never got to the top. I always lost in the semi or in the final, and you know. And then coming now of 2.5 years break, you know, and, mostly almost vegan diet. Somehow the camp was easy, and then I won 3 fights in a row, like literally in like an hour, 2 knockouts, and it's one of my best achievements till today. So for me, it works. It works great, and I feel better. And you know, once you get to it, you kind of start like looking up into factory farming and why is it bad for you? Why all the chemicals like? And you start like really getting a little bit disgusted even in the way that what they do to those animals, from the point when they grow them and they kill them and what they feed them, and when it comes to you, like, and then you understand like, yeah, now it makes sense why I feel like this. And then you have the other side that is the environmental side, and you understand how bad it is for the planet, how many rainforests to kill, and you literally get the idea that this is one of the best things you can do for the planet and for yourself. So that stuck with me. That resonated with me on every possible way. And so I wouldn't say I'm vegan or vegetarian. I don't even talk in those terms. My diet doesn't really consist of it, and I just don't trust the big factories. I just don't trust farming and the pharma companies and everything they feature, like, you know, let me stay as natural as possible and, you know, live my life healthy. Like, I don't want to get sick, you know, I don't want to take your medicine. Like, let me do everything I can to just stay healthy.
It's cool you're talking about it, and I really wanted to start this topic here because we had this conversation a few years ago when we were in Thailand, I think in Bangkok. We were eating in the corner restaurant on those plastic chairs. Remember, after we did training with Cedric and your coach, and then afterwards we ate. I never forget that conversation. We were talking about it, and I realized I've got a pretty big audience on Udemy. People know you as well, and we never talk about it openly. I mean, I haven't eaten meat for ages. It's been years and years and years, and I'll never go back to meat. They say never. I'll never go back to meat, guaranteed, because it's just too much cruelty involved. And I feel like I wouldn't want to do the entire interview about it now, but I feel like it's important to talk about it, especially for those people who are watching this. And look, like if you guys watching this, you eat meat, like no judgment from our side. Everyone is different, right? But I think it's important for people to see guys like yourself who won world titles, who are really fit, right? Who are, you know, arguably, you know, the toughest guy in the world, like at least one of the toughest guys in the world, and not eating meat. And there's this misconception that if you want to be, especially a real man, you got to eat meat, which is bullshit. So that's why I want to talk about it a little bit. And this mental aspect of, and
it's true. Sorry, it's true about you too. Like if you don't know Jimmy, if you don't see the way he works out, it's absolutely insane. And it seems like you have stamina to go on forever. Like more push-ups, another set, and like where you get the power from. So, and it's funny because we both didn't eat meat before we met. It's not like we influenced each other. We kind of came to the same conclusions separately and figure out it works for us. Yeah.
And our friends as well, right? Like some of our friends who do triathlons.
Yeah, we have 2 friends that do triathlons also on no meat, plant-based diet, and they compete on a high level. And again, nobody influenced anybody. It's not like one guy came in and like, yo guys, let's go vegan. It's like, no, just own personal experience, right?
We came into the same conclusion roughly similar time, and then we were talking about it. But you're right, like we all arrived at those conclusions kind of separately. But what those guys are doing is ridiculous. You know, both Vinny and Michael. I mean, they, like, anybody listening to this, to give you an idea, like those guys are some of those crazy guys who could just jump into the ocean, open water, and swim
Everywhere.
for like 4 kilometers. Like 4 kilometers swim and then come out, drink a coconut, and like just.
Man, I'll tell you, I went to Norway with those guys last summer, and like every river they see, and it's the water comes from the fjords, it's completely frozen, and those guys just jump in and start swimming. And sometimes it's too cold, they come out, but it's pretty crazy, yeah. Talking about mental toughness.
So actually, this brings me because I, this interview, I kind of want to go with the flow. I had a few questions in mind, but so speaking of those guys, our boys, right? How important it is to surround yourself with the right people? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. From the mentors. So first thing, if you do something, you want good mentors. You want to learn from the right people. Let's put it into fighting. You can go and you want to be a great fighter, but you pick the wrong gym, the wrong trainer. And I feel that because I know a lot of times people come to me when they train in places with people that don't have the expertise, put it that way, and they just have bad habits, and bad habits can translate to big mistakes, and mistakes can translate to physical hurt in this game. So have the right mentors. First of all, sorry, where were you going with the question?
So I wanted to ask you, what about the importance of finding the right people? Yeah, the right people around you.
So again, first of all, mentors, teachers. Doesn't matter what you do. I just gave an example of the gym, and yeah, just people that can motivate you around you, like just positive people with a good drive. Absolutely. Like if you have negative people in your life surrounding you, people who complain, you have to cut them out immediately. It doesn't matter even if it's your family members. Like you can't have that energy around you. Like you won't grow. It will get to you. Like forget about them. Find positive, like-minded people who have ambitions, who want to grow, want to go, like in a positive direction in life, that have good ideas. And even if a lot of times when I was younger, I was 20 or 19 or 21, doesn't matter. And I was kind of like meeting those people who kind of made something in life. They have a big house or a nice apartment, or they have a good business and they have the money. And, like I didn't have much going on, but I had the mindset. So maybe in that way they accepted me. And that way I could learn from them. I could grow, So extremely, extremely important.
So how do you seek out those people? And it has to start with yourself, right? With being open to find those people.
Like attracts like, right? If you're negative, you're gonna find kind of people your own way. So if you change your mindset, let's say right now you're surrounded with people that they're no good, so you have the same mindset as them. But once you change your mindset, you cannot be with them anymore. It conflicts with you. So then you'll just find different people to surround yourself with and to help you in the way that you can learn from each other and go forward in life.
So how do you find those people? Curious, like what would you say to anybody watching this? How do you go about finding those people?
Yeah, be open-minded. Be open-minded. Traveling is the best way. It's the best, like not talking about these days, but in life in general, you become open-minded after you travel and you meet people from different places and you're getting exposed to different culture. I kind of experienced it here some people didn't train much, very close-minded, not even here, I would say anywhere. It doesn't matter, Europe, USA, everywhere you go and the people don't travel, they kind of like all stick to the same idea and the same stigmas they have from whatever they heard from other people or from what they're watching in the news. So when you go travel and you meet new people from different places, it just opens your mind to idea that maybe everything you told before, maybe it wasn't all true. Maybe what they told me, what they teach me, it wasn't true. And I'm not saying somebody lied to you on bad intentions. Maybe they don't know either.
Yeah.
you know?
Huh. So I'm curious now to hear what's something, and this is the question I think I got it from Tim Ferriss. I think Tim Ferriss was asking this on his podcast. Is there a belief?
You're on your difficult questions now.
Yeah, just go with the flow, man. Whatever comes. But like, is there something you used to believe in that you know now that is no longer the truth?
Oh, you go deep, man. Everything, man. Everything, man. You know, like for me personally, I accept that idea that I'm wrong, you know, and I've been wrong about everything, you know, and I keep being wrong, you know. So that kind of helps me grow because I'm very, like, I know what I know, but I also know that what I know it might not be true, you know. So I'm not stuck in my head on those ideas. I'm not married to any idea, you know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't define my personality, you know. When people are identified as this or that, it's very hard to change them because the identity is connected to their ego. I don't really have that, you know. So if to, you know, like what we know now, 500 years ago, people thought the earth is flat, you know. Like if they come tomorrow with some crazy idea, like, you know, whatever, I'm not gonna go out there. Like, I'm open to the possibility I might have been wrong before.
Yeah.
You know, quite possibly people be wrong throughout humanity about so many things, you know. Why do you think you're right about everything now?
100%, bro. I agree so much. Like I always assume that I could be wrong, because you're right. Like I like to give this example. Recently, I went back to Poland and I found those old Nokia phones. You know, those little, but like you can throw them from like 10th floor and they won't break. And so I looked,
phones.
Sorry?
The drug dealer phones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I took them and I'm like, wow, like back in the day when I used those was, I don't know how many years, 15 years ago, 18 years ago, maybe. If someone told me that one day you'll have like touch screen type of thing where you'll be able to make videos like this one, and I'd be like, what? Like, it's not even possible. Like people would say that you are crazy, yet it's happening. And the UFO thing recently that came out, right, from Pentagon, that they saw some UFO. Like more and more weird shit starts happening when you look at VR technology. You can put the VR set on yourself and you literally forget where you are. Take a dose of psilocybin, put VR set on yourself, you think that you are a totally different person. So I like this idea of not getting attached to this idea of like, I know something for sure, because you never know, right?
Yeah, and nobody likes people like that too, that have to be right all the time, you know. People who argue with you and they have to be right, you know. So annoying, personally, you know. I like people who are open-minded, you know, who open to different ideas, you know. People who have to be right all the time, so dreading.
All right, cool, man. So to switch gears a little bit, I know you have to do your training very soon, like probably 20, 30 minutes from now, people will start coming, yeah?
An hour and a half, but I have to wash everything. I have to clean the mats, I have to wash the bags, I have to prepare everything.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to ask you maybe one or two more questions. So I'm curious because there's a story, right? I know a little bit of it, but I'm curious to hear more. You are the only Israeli person to enter Malaysia. Is that true?
I'm the only Israeli athlete to enter Malaysia and raise the Israeli flag, because it's a Muslim republic, and unfortunately sports and religion, you know.
So tell me about the story, because it's crazy. Like, tell me more about it. What happened?
So it's 2010. I'm kind of like in a crossroad in my life. Like I had a house on some island and everything got flooded, and I literally lost all my stuff. Like all my shirts were molded, and I locked the house. I came back. Somebody came in and stole all my electronics. Like I literally was left with nothing. And by the way, that happened 2 other times in my life. So I'm kind of okay with the idea. Like it's not the end of the world. Like just stop. It's not a big deal. And then I came back to my main thing, which was training. And then after like a few weeks, they invited me to do this big reality show in Malaysia that was going on the AXN Asia, and pretty much 16 people from all over the world, very good fighters. go in one house and everybody fight each other until there's two left. The only problem was that it was in Malaysia, and I hold an Israeli passport, so I'm not really allowed to go in. But the producer said they can do it. So I just went with it. I said, okay, it would be cool. What other option? When in my life will I have the chance to visit Malaysia again? And obviously this might be good for my career. So I said yes. And there was training. We went there, and then they just didn't let me in. So I was stuck in the airport for about 25 hours. I was just there in the terminal, just coming from Thailand. You don't even have like a, how you call it, a jacket, because it's always so hot. So I'm just sitting there like this, freezing, until somebody came. I don't even know who he was, and just kind of like pointed some fingers and talked to some people, and they just let me in. Didn't stamp my passport or anything, so I'm just officially I'm not even there. And then we have this entire big production going on, and we go with the fights. And my first fight, I was fighting this French guy. He was a big star in Thailand at the time. He grew up in Thailand, so he grew up as a Thai. He was accepted by the Thai people, put it that way. And then about half an hour before the fight, they tell me, well, look, Ilya, the stadium, it's actually in a Muslim university, and everybody who come to watch the fights, they're gonna be Muslim, and we're in Malaysia, not allowed to be here anyways. So you're just gonna go to the fight with the Russian flag, no big deal. So that kind of pissed me off, because A, I'm not Russian, like I don't want to represent them, I have nothing to do with them. B is just because I'm not allowed to do it, and because you're not supposed to be here. I really wanted to do it. More, I wouldn't say like patriotical reasons. You just you want to be like that. Like I can be like that too. So I told them no, I'm gonna fight with the Israeli flag, and if you say no, I'm just not gonna fight. So a lot of stake on the production end. Like, if I'm not gonna fight, I might mess up the show. What are they gonna do? All the footage from the days before, from the training, the interviews. So they pretty much bent their arm into letting me fight. And it was funny, because as soon as I came into the stadium, like, people were throwing bottles at me. People were fucking pissed I was there, and everybody's screaming, "Fuck Israel!" and they edit it in a way, because it's a reality show. They tell the crowd how to cheer, right? So they want different reactions from them to edit later into the fight. So obviously they didn't show the actual reaction of the fight, but when I watched the fight later on TV, everybody was cheering me. Everybody were very happy to see me. Yeah, that's crazy. That was a good fight, man. That was one of the best fights I ever had. That was, in a way that motivated me so much. All the hate I was getting from everybody. It's not hate. It's just those energy. Like, people want you to lose. People want you to fail. And you have a chance to prove them wrong. Like, it's up to me. It's not up to them. If I'm gonna win or fail. And it motivated me to do a great fight. Unfortunately, two of the judges were Malaysians, and they gave it to the other guy. The third judge was Thai, and he gave the victory to me. So unfortunately, I lost by split decision, which actually probably wouldn't happen if I ended up coming up with the Russian flag, in my opinion. But that's a different story. So yeah, after that, I stayed there a little bit more, and when I left Malaysia, again, they didn't stamp my passport or anything. I was like a ghost. 2 months there, in and out, and
Wow, that's a crazy story. And I heard that, is it true that some of the spectators came up to you afterwards and actually apologized, and they said, sorry for booing you, because you actually should have won?
Yeah, because you only hear the people who make the noise, right? So you don't hear the people who are actually supporting you, so I'm not gonna say that Malay are super nice people. I really enjoyed Malaysia.
Yeah.
The food is great. The people are super nice, and if you're not if religion doesn't corrupt you to hate other people, you're cool anywhere. I wouldn't say it's only a problem in Malaysia. I would say it's a problem anywhere. So, being exposed to so many different cultures, like I judge you by the person you are. I don't care about your religion or race or anything. But people are brainwashed there in a way, and there's hate and politics and animosity. So I understand it too. But yeah, a lot of people were super cool about the situation, and wanted to be friends and take pictures and everything. So I don't want to put Malaysia in a bad light.
100%. This happens everywhere, right? Even when you watch UFC, it happens. It never ceases to amaze me how much hate there is in people about a person they don't even know, right? Like it's just
prejudice, racism.
Yeah. We need to get rid of this in this world, man.
Especially in sports. Like it's so bad when it comes to sports. It's the worst. When race and politics get involved. Like I have a lot of stories about it too, but maybe for the next time. Because there was, you should have asked that before, man. Because talking about being an Israeli guy in the world and like flocking with all those different nationalities, a lot of them Muslims, a lot of them are, it's just, bottom line, it shouldn't be there. And the athletes understand it, but the government, they don't care. They have their own agenda to push.
It puts a label. I remember
their agenda. They're not gonna like it.
Well, remember when we wanted to meet up in Bali together and do something, and we couldn't, and you actually tried to get in and just couldn't because of that passport. It's crazy, but hopefully the world will. Well, it's already shifting, and I hope it's going to be shifting more rapidly to tolerance, where people are judged by who they are, right? Not country they are from or the race. It's just fucking crazy.
Whatever.
Yeah, man. To switch gears to wrap up on a more positive note. So you opened this gym. What is the vision? Where do you see yourself going with this gym, and yourself as Ilya Grad for the next couple of years? What do you want to create?
Well, my tools, my strength is the sport and the knowledge I acquired. I've been doing this for 16 years. I've fought in so many different countries. So I think the experience I bring to Israel is, I wouldn't say uncompared, but you don't have a lot of people, to bring my experience here. So I want to take it to the next level. Like one of the reasons I came back here is because there is so much growth in sports in Israel. There's more support, there's more recognition. And there's a lot of good coaches here, and they're doing a great job, So I want to be part of that. I want to help people with the sport, with the tools that I know that help me. If it's physical, if it's mental, a lot of people, they have stressful jobs. They come here just to train and feel good, so they won't have to go home and fight with their wife or break the walls or whatever. This is their therapy. So I want to give a place for everybody who can benefit from this. It doesn't matter if you want to be a fighter, if this is your way in life, which is only like 1 in 1,000 people, like actually want to do the commitment and the sacrifices I did, I can help you with that. If you want to do some fights with for yourself, just to challenge yourself, maybe like you, just to grow personally, that's okay too. I'm not pushing anybody. If you want to train for fun and break a sweat and you want to lose some weight, like I'm very flexible in that way, because I want people from all different sort of the population to come and benefit from the sport. I actually wanted to open, before this COVID-19 crisis happened, I wanted to open a class only for old people, like 70 plus, because in the US I had one guy, his name was Don, Holler Don, I hope everything is good. He was 72 and he was coming to train every day, and he was training with the young guys. And he was doing great, He didn't come to fight or anything, but he loved it, he enjoyed it. So I kind of realized that even old people that you would think like martial arts, that's not for them, but they can benefit from this, So I literally just want to help people with the sport and with what I know about training. And yeah.
Bro, that's amazing. And honestly, man, knowing you for all those years, I'm 100% convinced you're going to be successful in doing so. Like, it's already going well, and it's going to only keep going better and better. Where can people find you? Website, anything else?
Oh man, you know, be honest, a few years ago, I kind of gave up on social media. Mm-hmm. I'm not really posting anywhere. I'm not trying to promote anything. I kind of like under the radar. If anybody ever in Israel and you want to come, and or if you're in Israel and you're watching this and you want to come visit us in the gym, because right now we're committed to this place 100%. I'm here every day. We open if you want to come and train and meet up and say what's up. So we're in Modi'in, Fight Club Modi'in, and guys, everybody welcome to come here and train a bit. And
awesome, man. Gonna link up your website later on the screen so people can see, and also in the description. Bro, pleasure as always. It's cool we recorded this time. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. It's funny, by the way, because we just wanted to talk and catch up anyways, and then you came with the idea like, hey, let's just record it and try to make something cool out of it. So I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because whenever we talk, it's a fun conversation, and some of the things that you are talking about, I really feel like many people will benefit from, especially realizing their own potential, right? And it's not that you are just born the guy you are, like you have to work hard for it. So I think this will be very beneficial to people. That's why I figured just have to do it, man.
Yeah.
But hey, bro, thank you, man. Thanks for your time, and get to your workout. I'm gonna get my own workout done here.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome,
good talking to you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for watching. Cheers, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage entrepreneur, adventurer.
With my great congratulations, Jimmy, welcome. Give him a round of applause.
So let's give a big applause to Jimmy Naraine.